Hi, I'm Gemma. I'm one of the community dietitians that helps to facilitate the Way Forward Bucks programme. Today we're going to be doing session 3, which is a portion practical element. So hopefully you'll be able to do this along with me in your kitchen at home. There's a few things that we need before we can get started. The first is either a copy of the worksheet or a copy of the slides, which shows us how much of each of these different ingredients we need to be measuring out. Then we need a set of kitchen scales, so these are digital, which is probably more helpful. We've got a copy of the weight loss you can see booklet as well. This is always useful to have at every session. Some sort of a measuring device, so you might have something similar to this at home, measuring spoon. We need a bowl for measuring out the cereal. We need a little dish to measure out the rice. Then of course we need some cereal, so we've got brown flakes here. We've got some uncooked pasta, any type of pasta really, but we're going to be using spiral one. And then some uncooked rice as well. Now I've got a plate here because I'm going to be doing cooked versions of the rice and the pasta. It's entirely up to you if you want to cook some of these things at home and then do the practical alongside. If you want to, perhaps now's a good time to pause the video, cook a little bit of rice, cook a little bit of pasta, and then you can do it along with me at home. If not, you can just watch to see what I'm doing. Okay, let's get started.
Okay, so we start by placing the bowl onto the scales and then turning the scales on so that we're not measuring the weight of the bowl. We can see from the Weight Loss You Can See booklet that one portion of starchy carbohydrates equates to 24 grams of bran flakes. So we're going to go ahead and measure 24 grams straight into the bowl. Now it might well be that you choose to use 2 portions of your starchy carbohydrate allowance for breakfast cereals, maybe even more. So we're going to go ahead and measure a second portion of bran flakes into the bowl on top of the one we've already got. It might be useful to pause here for a moment and consider how this compares to how you would normally pour your cereal. Does anything feel or look different? Notice what thoughts or passengers come to mind when looking at these 2 portions of starchy carbohydrates in the bowl. If you've noticed any negative thoughts, it can be helpful to serve the same portion in a different way. Here, we've simply poured the same portion into a smaller bowl, and it tricks the eye into looking like it's a larger portion. Once we've added some fruit and maybe some milk to this meal, we've not only made it more nourishing, but also more substantial. Of course, we're often really hungry at the point where we're serving a meal, and that can make portion control really difficult. So it might be worth going a step further and looking for an even smaller cereal bowl in which to serve your breakfast cereal. Now we're going to look at measuring out dry pasta. And we can see from the Weight Loss You Can See booklet that one portion of starchy carbohydrate is the same as 24 grams of uncooked pasta. So we put our dish onto the digital scales in the same way and make sure that the scales are on 0. Next, we measure out, using a measuring spoon if possible, one portion. So here we have one portion, which is 24 grams of dried pasta. But as for the cereal, it might be that we choose to use 2 portions of our starchy carbohydrates, maybe even more, but for this example we're going to be measuring out 2 portions of pasta. Again, taking a moment here to reflect on how this compares to how you normally prepare your pasta. Do you normally weigh it out, or does it go straight into a pan of boiling water? How might weighing our pasta impact how much we later eat? How might not weighing our pasta impact on how much we later go on to eat? In this next example, I've pre-cooked some pasta, and we're going to imagine that we haven't measured dry pasta and we haven't measured the cooked pasta. We're just going to pour it onto the plate as if we're about to eat this meal and we're probably feeling quite hungry. think about how much pasta you might be serving here. Let's find out how it compares to the weight loss you can see guide. When we look at the weight loss you can see guide, we can see that one portion of our starchy carbohydrate equates to 50 grams of cooked pasta. What I've served on the plate here is 172 grams of pasta. That equates to about 3.5 portions of starchy carbohydrate. This time we're going to measure out our portion of pasta. So we put the plate on the scales and we make sure it's on 0 so we're not measuring the plate. Now here we've got 50 grams of cooked pasta. What are your thoughts about how that looks on the plate? Think about how this compares to your normal portion of pasta. Would you be thinking about adding more to the plate here? It can be really difficult to see a smaller portion on our plate than we're used to seeing. If you're anticipating that this is going to be difficult for you, then again we can use our crockery to help us to stay on track. Here I've used the same size plates. The only thing that's different is the border on the second plate. This is tricking the eye into making it look like there is more on the plate than there was on the previous plate. Using crockery like this can help us serve an appropriate sized portion, even if we haven't weighed anything up until now. In this example, we're going to try changing our cutlery and our crockery to help us control our portion sizes. Here I'm using a side plate to serve the pasta on. But notice how the knife and fork look a little oversized. We can change them to a smaller knife and fork. Here I've just used picnic or camping cutlery. It can also be helpful to consider how hunger changes the way we serve our food. Using the T-shaped plate model can help us to stay on track. Look what happens when we first serve our vegetables and salads. There is now less space on the plate for the foods that we can often serve a large portion of when we are feeling hungry at this point. When we take the salad off the plate, we can see from the scales how much pasta we have actually served by using the T-shaped plate method. Here I've actually served 80 grams of pasta, which is about 1.5 portions of carbohydrate. In this final example, we're going to be weighing out uncooked rice. We can use the Weight Loss You Can See booklet to see how much one portion of uncooked rice is. So if you're following at home, now's the time to put your small dish on your kitchen scales. Using your measuring spoon, measure out 21 grams of uncooked rice. Again, you might choose to have 2 portions of rice with your meal. So we're going to carry on and put another portion of uncooked rice into the dish. You should now hopefully have 42 grams of uncooked rice in your dish. You might have noticed that the serving spoon I was using weighed exactly 21 grams of rice. That's exactly one portion of rice. That's useful to know because it means next time I'm cooking a rice dish, I can just use a level spoon of this particular measurement rather than getting out my kitchen scales each time. Once you've had a go at this a few times, make a note of the spoons or cups that you've used that you now know weigh exactly one portion of carbohydrates. To complete the worksheet, we encourage you to measure out cooked rice at the next time you get the opportunity. Thanks for watching, and we wish you all the best on your way forward.